everyone. Today's topic is a continuation of the series we've been looking at, the narcissistic family roles, and how everything operates as a system that needs to be kept in balance. And it was really interesting, actually. I caught myself at the end of the video yesterday saying, oh, tomorrow I'll do a video on the invisible child and the mascot. I'll put those two together. And upon reflection, I was thinking to myself, well, that's exactly the problem here. It's like all the focus and attention is on the golden child and the scapegoat. And then any other children seem to just sort of have these very limited parts in the system. So I decided, counter to what I said, to really focus in and shine a light now to bring the invisible child and make them visible, in honor of all invisible children out there, those that are still children now in narcissistic families, and those of you that may identify with this role or have had a sibling who played this part. Whenever I think of the invisible child, I instantly think of Home Alone, and Macaulay Culkin, in that massive family being left behind and nobody really noticing until they're on board the plane. And that's exactly what it's like for the invisible child. They're sort of just one of the group. They're a part of the number. They often get overlooked. So they're the unseen one. But it's more than that. You see, it's often the case that the invisible child comes after the eldest and sometimes before the youngest, who can sometimes be the golden child. So they're kind of wedged in between somewhere. They're invisible, and I'm going to explain this a bit more, and they feel it because, and this is the crux of it, they don't actually have a role. And I don't know about you. I mean, I've had times, I was trying to think of when I can relate to something like this. You might go around to a friend's house and, there's a whole bunch of people all doing different things in the kitchen, helping, get lunch ready or something. And you're kind of loitering at the back trying to think, what can I do? There's nothing really I can do here. And it's that kind of awkward feeling of, not actually having a part to play, not being able to contribute even. And it can be such a lonely experience, this, it's almost as if you're not needed, not wanted in the family. And that's a very, very lonely, sad place to be. You see, the family could easily actually maintain its narcissistic system balance without them, without the invisible child. There isn't actually a need for them. And that is the feeling the invisible child lives with all its life. What is my place? What is my use? Do I have any use? They may even think that, surely I'm just a bit of a burden here. Because they're invisible, and a child, above all things, needs to know that it's seen by its parent in order to self-soothe, in order to be able to experience and regulate emotions, the invisible child will often end up, because there's no parent there to see them, suppressing their emotions deeply and cutting off from any emotions. They deal with them on their own. They can't have any needs because their needs are not important. This is what they come to believe. They don't believe that they deserve to have their parents spending individual time with them, just giving their attention to them. They're used to sort of getting the parents' attention alongside the other siblings. So it's a shared attention. Often narcissistic parents will instead of giving the attention, may just give the invisible child a toy, or a laptop, or something else as a sort of substitute attention source. So the whole thing, it's a bit like a play, a theatre play. The invisible child doesn't have a role in this performance. They're kind of the one that's, standing in the wings when everyone else has been given their part. And they just stand there waiting for somebody to remember them and to call them on to take a small role, or, to do something. But generally, they're just sort of following along. They have no real a sense of a voice of their own. They dim their voice and allow others to have the dominance over them. And of course, you can see then how this will affect somebody later in life. Often invisible children can find themselves as employees in a massive corporation, supporting the ideals of the corporation and the goals, but really not being known, just being a number on the books. They can also, though, go through life in one of two ways: either not believing or not wanting to be seen, sort of always holding back from the limelight, or being noticed. They may even dress in ways that are very nondescript, without much sense of who they are. They may also go the opposite way and try to force people to see them. So they may resort to shouting a lot, or trying to get themselves heard and seen. Sometimes, in adult life, the suppressed emotions that are there, the frustration, the anger, the loneliness, that needs to come out and be expressed, because it leads to illness otherwise. So often, sometimes invisible children can have invisible ailments, that people, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing there that we can see. And that can almost be a manifestation of this sense of nobody getting them, nobody really understanding or being able to help them. Okay, so what do we do? Well, for the invisible child, it is to work on having a voice, to work on being the one who sees yourself. So connecting with your own feelings is a huge part of the recovery, because those can be often scary for an invisible child, because as soon as we allow feelings out, that's when we become visible. It's also important to begin to stand up for yourself, to know that you've got your back. It's also important to be aware of situations where you tend to allow others to dominate, to attract people to you that sort of take control and you just follow along with. And to allow yourself to begin sort of taking up space in group settings, to actually contribute in a way that you feel is right for you, because often invisible children can sort of hold back from taking part, because there's a sense of I'm not of any use, I'm not good at anything, so, and they don't need me. But maybe to begin challenging those beliefs, because you are needed, and we want to know you, all invisible children out there. I do anyway. Lastly, and this is the work that I would do with somebody who's had this role, is to really begin to connect you to your invisible child within. That little invisible child who desperately wants somebody to know them. So this is the healing work for adults who find themselves, who were in the role of invisible child. And we do that clearly in the work I do on the subconscious. We go to the subconscious, which really, in some ways, is the inner child. So it can be really, really helpful and really, really liberating, and quite exciting too, to get to know yourself, um, as no one ever has taken the time to do before. Okay, everybody, thank you for listening today. I'm going to do the mascot or hero child tomorrow, and that will bring us almost to the end of this series. Um, I will hone in on the enabler parent at some point too. Okay, take care. Bye now. Oh, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the link below. Thank you. Bye now.